You are sitting in a room right now, climate-controlled, safe, probably with food nearby and a device in your hand. By every objective measure, you are one of the most comfortable humans who has ever lived. And yet, your brain is convinced something is wrong. Maybe it is the news you scrolled through this morning. Maybe it is the email you have not answered yet. Maybe it is just a low hum of unease you cannot quite name. You feel it anyway, that gnawing, restless tension that never fully goes away. You assume it is just stress, a personality quirk, a bad week. But here is the thing, it is not you. It is your brain. And your brain is not living in the 21st century. It never fully left the savannah. Your brain is running ancient software on a modern machine. The hardware got upgraded. The code never did. And that gap, that mismatch between the world your brain was built for and the world you actually live in, explains almost everything strange about being a human today. It explains why you cannot sleep even when you are exhausted, why you feel lonely in a room full of people, why you eat past the point of fullness, why you cannot stop doom scrolling even though you know it makes you feel worse. None of it is weakness. None of it is failure. It is evolution doing exactly what it was designed to do, just in completely the wrong context. To understand why your brain does what it does, you have to go back. Not a few hundred years. Not a few thousand. You have to go back roughly 200,000 years to when your brain first took the shape it wears today. For most of that time, your ancestors lived in small bands. 15 to 50 people. Everyone knew everyone. The group was everything. Your survival, literally your physical survival, depended on staying connected to those people, being useful to them, being liked by them. Being cast out was not a social inconvenience, it was a death sentence. Alone on the open savannah, without the group, you lasted maybe days. Your brain learned this lesson on a biological level. It carved it into the architecture of your nervous system. And so today, when someone ignores your message, when you get left out of a social gathering, when you feel like people might not like you, your brain does not process that as mild disappointment. It processes it as danger. Your cortisol spikes. Your threat detection system fires. Your body responds as if something genuinely lethal has happened. The psychologist John Cacioppo spent decades studying loneliness and discovered something that should change the way you think about your own mind. Loneliness does not just feel bad. It physically changes your brain. It activates the same neural circuits as physical pain. It disrupts your sleep at the cellular level, making your immune system behave as if you are already wounded. Because ancestrally, social isolation almost always preceded a physical threat. Your brain learned to treat one as the warning sign of the other. This is the pattern that runs through almost everything strange about your inner life. Your brain does not distinguish between ancient threats and modern ones. It only distinguishes between safe and not safe, known and unknown, in-group and out-group. Think about the last time you felt a rush of anxiety before speaking in public. Your palms sweat, your heart rate climbs, your thoughts scatter. For most people, this feels absurd and embarrassing. You know, rationally, that giving a presentation cannot kill you, but your brain does not know that. It is running a survival protocol designed for a world where being watched by a group meant being judged for your place in the hierarchy, where losing status could mean losing resources, losing allies, losing protection. Your brain fires the same alarm it would have fired if 30 ancestral humans were deciding whether to keep you around. The neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett has spent years mapping how emotions actually work in the brain, and what she found overturns almost everything people assume about feelings. Emotions are not things that simply happen to you. Your brain is constantly predicting, running simulations of what is about to happen based on every experience it has ever cataloged. And most of its catalog was built from a world that no longer exists. It is making predictions about social media and city traffic and mortgage payments using a mental model that was calibrated on predators and scarcity and tribal politics. That is why anxiety often feels so free-floating and sourceless. Your brain has detected a pattern, a signal of threat, and launched an emotional response before you have even consciously registered what triggered it. By the time you notice you feel uneasy, your brain has already started preparing your body to fight, flee, or freeze. The thinking comes after. The feeling comes first. And nowhere is this mismatch more visible than in how your brain handles food. For nearly all of human history, calories were uncertain. Feast and famine cycled endlessly. Your ancestors could not afford to stop eating when food was available, because they had no idea when food would be available again. So your brain built a powerful override. When calorie-dense food is present, eat as much as possible. Store it. Do not rely on there being more tomorrow. That override still runs today. You sit down, meaning to eat a handful of something, and somehow the bowl is empty. You feel full, but keep eating, because the food is still there. It is not weak willpower. It is an ancient abundance protocol firing in a world of permanent, engineered abundance. The food scientists who design processed snacks know about this protocol, and they design specifically to trigger it. Your brain was not built to resist this. It was built to surrender to it. The researcher Stefan Guyenet, who studies the neuroscience of eating, argues that the modern food environment is not just abundant. It is specifically engineered to hack systems in your brain that evolved under conditions of extreme scarcity. The combination of fat, salt, sugar, and reward-triggering texture hits your dopamine circuits in ways that nothing in your ancestral environment ever could. Your brain is not overpowered. It is outmatched. And then there is sleep, the place where the mismatch gets almost darkly funny. Your brain runs on a system called the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which regulates your stress response through the release of cortisol. In the ancient environment, cortisol spikes in the late evening made sense. The night was dangerous. Predators were more active. Your group needed someone alert. So your ancestors who stayed slightly on edge after sundown survived more often than those who fully relaxed. You still have that system. And in a world flooded with blue-spectrum light from screens, with news cycles that deliver a steady stream of threat signals, with social pressures that never switch off, your brain fires evening cortisol spikes just like your ancestors did. But there is no predator. There is no night watch to stand. There is just you, wired and exhausted in a room that is too bright and too stimulating, wondering why you cannot fall asleep. Matthew Walker, the neuroscientist and author who has made sleep science accessible to millions, has shown that chronic sleep disruption does not just make you tired, it degrades your emotional regulation, your decision-making, your immune function, your memory consolidation. Sleep is not a passive state. It is when your brain runs its maintenance cycle, filing memories, clearing metabolic waste, regulating the very emotional systems that make you feel human. When you disrupt it night after night, you are degrading the machinery that your ancient brain uses to cope with the modern world. It is a spiral that feeds itself. But here is the part that matters most. Here is the thing this understanding actually changes. When you know that your brain is running ancient code, you can stop blaming yourself for the bugs. You can stop treating anxiety as a personality defect. Stop treating loneliness as weakness. Stop treating your relationship with food or sleep or your phone as a moral failing. These are not failures of character. They are the cost of being human. The price of carrying a brain that was built for one world and has been dropped, without a manual, into another. Knowing this does not make everything better overnight, but it changes the frame. It gives you a different starting point. Instead of asking what is wrong with you, you start asking what your brain was trying to protect you from. And that question, that simple reframe, is one your ancestors could never have asked, because they did not need to. Their world made sense to their brain. Yours does not, and it never quite will. You are sitting in a room right now, safe, comfortable, surrounded by abundance, and some part of your brain is still scanning the dark, listening for something that stopped coming for you 100,000 years ago. That vigilance is not a flaw. It kept your entire lineage alive long enough to produce you. You just have to learn to carry it gently.